There are days when motivation feels like an elusive force, slipping through our fingers no matter how much we try to grasp it. When faced with a daunting task, the thought of committing long hours to work can feel overwhelming, leading to procrastination instead. The human mind naturally resists obligations, especially when they seem burdensome. But what if we could trick ourselves into productivity? What if instead of demanding complete dedication to a task, we simply tell ourselves that we only need to work on it for 5 minutes? This small psychological trick, known as reverse psychology, can help us outsmart our resistance and accomplish far more than we ever intended. By setting a minimal goal, we bypass the mental resistance that often paralyzes us at the start, easing ourselves into action without the weight of expectation pressing down on us. The beauty of this approach lies in its simplicity. When we tell ourselves that we only have to engage in an activity for 5 minutes, it lowers the barrier to entry. The mind perceives 5 minutes as insignificant, barely enough to make a difference. This tiny commitment feels manageable, even when motivation is at its lowest. However, what often happens is that once we start, we naturally continue. The initial resistance fades away and momentum takes over. Like a ball that starts rolling down a hill, the hardest part is the first push after that. Gravity does the work. Once the brain shifts from resistance to engagement, the activity no longer seems as daunting, and suddenly, 5 minutes stretch into 10, then 20, then perhaps an hour or more. The trick isn't about deception, but about leveraging our psychology to transition from inactivity to action in the easiest way possible. This method works particularly well for tasks that seem tedious or intimidating. Writers struggling with writer's block, for example, can tell themselves to write just one sentence. Students dreading studying can commit to reading just one paragraph. Athletes struggling to get to the gym can promise themselves they'll only do one exercise. The irony is that by setting such an easy, non-threatening goal, they almost always end up doing more than they originally planned. This happens because the brain thrives on completion. Once we begin something, we develop an unconscious desire to finish it, a phenomenon known as the Zeigarnik effect. Our minds dislike incomplete tasks, which is why starting even in the smallest way creates an internal pull that keeps us engaged. The resistance we originally felt transforms into curiosity, and curiosity leads to sustained effort. Beyond productivity, using reverse psychology on oneself can reshape our relationship with self-discipline. Many people associate discipline with strict rules, rigid schedules, and harsh self-talk. But what if discipline was redefined as the ability to gently coax ourselves into action? What if, instead of being an authoritarian force, it became a strategic ally? Rather than forcing ourselves to push through resistance, we can trick our minds into willingly cooperating. When we frame work as something temporary and effortless, we make it less intimidating. This not only increases our chances of success, but also reduces the stress and guilt that often accompany procrastination. Over time, this approach helps us develop positive habits with less internal struggle, making consistency more attainable in the long run. Ultimately, the power of reverse psychology lies in its ability to dissolve the mental barriers that prevent us from taking action. By telling ourselves that we'll only do 5 minutes of work, we sidestep the fear of commitment and allow ourselves to ease into productivity naturally. More often than not, 5 minutes turns into much more, proving that the hardest part of any task is simply getting started. This small but effective mental trick can transform the way we approach challenges, helping us achieve more with less resistance. Instead of waiting for motivation to strike, we take control by making productivity feel effortless. And in doing so, we unlock a powerful truth. Sometimes the best way to achieve our goals is to convince ourselves that we're barely trying at all. If you reached until this far, please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more tips in life and motivational videos. Thank you for watching.